We have another caller on the line. Understand Marion over in Pinson has been holding patiently. Marion, we appreciate that. Good evening to you. Marion, you still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, good evening. If you will, go right ahead with your question.
My question is, if you file for a pardon and you're granted a pardon, how long does it take before that pardon is displayed on your record?
I'm sorry, can you ask that question again? I'm so sorry, I couldn't hear you.
If you file for a pardon and you're granted that pardon, how long does it take before that pardon shows or displays on your record?
I'll tell you what, I do not think it's going to be a particular time, because what it goes through is the Board of Pardons and Paroles, and they have proper protocol and procedure that they must follow while getting that pardon. So I'm gonna be honest, it's gonna depend. It's gonna depend on how many charges you have. It's gonna depend on the different things that they have to look at. So sometimes it may take a short time, sometimes it may take a while.
And could we potentially be talking years, potentially?
Well, with a pardon, sometimes, and I'll tell you, there are a lot of people trying to get a pardon, and the particular people that are granting these pardons and looking at these pardons, it takes some time, I'll say that. And just going through the process, starting with the Board of Pardons and Paroles and going through the proper protocol and procedure. So sometimes it may take a while.
Okay. Okay. You had another great question.
Louvenia, that and pardons makes me think of it.
Yes.
The deferment programs that many counties are doing in Alabama right now, fantastic programs. Will you tell everybody a little bit about what the deferment programs, first of all, what they're for, and then how do you avail yourself of them if you find yourself in a difficult position with a criminal charge?
Yes, the deferment programs are great resources in Alabama. What happens is, if you qualify for a deferment program, if you're a first-time offender, you just made a mistake, and that happens. Sometimes they'll let you go through the program, you'll pay restitution, and before that case even hits the courts, it's dismissed. There are also other programs such as the drug court program, which is a great program, mental health programs that are deferred programs, and we also have the veterans court program. So I think that Alabama's doing a great job with just trying to help offenders that just simply made a mistake.
Yeah, and giving them another opportunity, and especially our veterans. I think we've seen great work with that, who really a lot of times face difficult situations just serving our country.
Exactly.
And they come out and face it as well.
Yeah, and Louvenia, what I've seen in those programs, if you have somebody, especially a lot of young people, that make a mistake, and that mistake shouldn't follow them their whole life. But one thing that I've recognized in those deferment programs is it's not free. I mean, you got to pay the price.
Oh, yeah,
You've got to do all. You have to jump through a lot of hoops. You have to do a lot of things to qualify, and then to get through the program itself. It's not like they just write you, write you off or write you a pass. It takes a lot to. You have to be serious about wanting to get your record cleared. But it's just such a great program, especially for young people.
And I saw a lot of great people to really grow from those programs and really get their life together. So I think it's a wonderful resource in Alabama.
It is.
Does it normally involve class time? Does it involve community service?
It can involve a lot.
Yeah, it can involve a lot of things, and especially if it's a crime that involves theft, you want to make sure the victim is made whole and that person understands how they affected that person with the restitution. And I think that it helps a person realize how they've affected others, and they just want to do better from that point on.
And if it's a drug or alcohol situation, you have to go through a long series of testing.
That's right.
Where you have to show up, you're tested, you're made sure you're clean, you have to stay clean for quite a period of time.
That's right.
You may have to put a, what's the device that you blow into?
Breathalyzer.
Breathalyzer.
Exactly.
You may have to put one of those on your car.
Okay.
So there's a lot to it, but it's just so worth it for people to get their lives back on a good track.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, it's such a reward to see them graduate from those programs.
Isn't that true?
It is.
That's really good.
Yes.
Well, that brings me to another question that we talked about at the beginning of the show as a tease, youthful offender status.
Yes.
How does that work? Who does it apply to? Why is it granted in some cases and not in others?
Okay.
Great question.
Youthful offender is going to apply to an individual who is under the age of 21. It's going to depend on the crime. It's going to depend on effects. It's going to depend on a lot of different things when you're talking about youthful offender, because you have a lot of people, maybe they've been given a chance at the juvenile level.
Okay.
So sometimes they may look at that. They look at your reputation in the community. They look at social media statuses. So you want to be very careful with how you present yourself in the public eye. So it's going to depend on a lot of different things.
I'm glad.
Well, Louvenia, that's ultimately the judge's decision.
It is
whether
ultimately
you
the
get
judge's decision. It
youthful
is.
offender status.
And what I hear you saying too is just because you may be 15 or 16,
That's right.
it depends on that crime. You may not automatically, or is that correct?
No, you're not going to automatically qualify for youthful offender just because you're at that age in which you should qualify. Okay, the judge is going to have to make that decision as to whether they want you to get youthful offender or not. And I'll tell you, using their discretion, they're going to look at everything because they want to make sure that the community is also safe with giving you youthful offender. Because with youthful offender, you're granted certain I guess things that are different from a regular offender, right? Because youthful offenders, I believe 3 years is, the minimum in which they can, you can serve time on. So there's a lot of great things that come with it, but you definitely have to qualify, and it's up to a judge.
On the civil side, when we're taking a deposition of someone involved in an accident case, and we're talking about criminal history, which always comes up in civil cases, when you ask and somebody says, no, youthful offender, that's the end of it. You can't ask another question about it after that.
Okay.
It's very protected if you get that classification.
Right, and they seal your case in the criminal world of it, if you're allowed to get youthful offender. So they're very protective of that.
Yep.